Who is Ray Dalio? In order to understand who he is, firstly, we should understand what a hedge fund is. A hedge fund is a pooled investment fund that trades in a wide variety of assets and employs complex trading strategies to generate returns for its investors. Hedge funds basically work in two principles. The first principle is the ability to have pooled investment. Investors basically pool their money together in a hedge fund, which is then managed by a professional investment manager. The second principle is the concept of limited availability. Hedge funds are typically only available to accredited investors, which are individuals with a high net worth or income. So they are basically different from ETFs, which are tradable by all investors. Coming back to our initial question, who is Ray Dalio? Ray Dalio is actually the founder of the greatest hedge fund in the world, Bridgewater Associates. He has been investing since he was 12 and went through a lot of ups and downs in which he also became completely broke. In the early days of Bridgewater, Ray Dalio helped institutional investors by both consulting and actively managing their investments. He also shared his investment thinking in daily research commentary called Bridgewater Daily Observations that were sent to the clients via telex. It was basically a modern newsletter for his investors. Today we are diving into a fascinating topic in relation to building wealth and power, as they're always connected. But obviously we are not dealing with lottery tickets and overnight success. Instead, we are taking inspiration from the financial titan Ray Dalio and his 8 principles of success for countries. The interesting thing is that we will use those big picture ideas on the macro level and translate them into our personal toolkit. I was reading The Changing World Order by Ray Dalio, and on page 41, he actually identified 8 key determinants to analyze the rise and fall of world powers. He mentions education, competitiveness, innovation and technology, economic output, share of world trade, military strength, financial center strength, and reserve currency status. Those are the main 8 key determinants to analyze the rise and fall of world powers, to analyze the wealth and power of different countries. While I was reading this book, I saw that he actually used those 8 key determinants to analyze the status, the rise and fall of great powers such as the Dutch Empire, the British Empire, the current status of the United States and China. One of the main rules that we learn from the history is that, as Dalio argues, no system of government, no economic system, no currency, and no empire lasts forever. Yet almost everyone is surprised when they fail. This mortality and those key determinants are also applicable for our personal lives. And as Ray Dalio discusses on them, I think he also lays down 8 key rules of becoming wealthy and powerful on a personal scale. And that's why I call them Ray Dalio's 8 principles to get rich. Let me explain how. Before starting, if you find value in this video, it will be really helpful for me if you hit that subscribe button and like the video. It enables me to see the support in the beginning of my YouTube journey. Thank you. So let's get into it. The first principle is education. The best capital to invest is human capital. And just like countries invest in their citizens' education, you should constantly learn and upskill yourself. Charlie Munger, the right hand of Warren Buffett, always mentioned about the importance of being able to keep learning. The most dangerous person is the one who keeps learning. The most dangerous person is the one who keeps learning. Anyone who has been remembered centuries and decades after his or her death always prioritized education. This is applicable for any business person, any scientist, creator, director, artist, athlete also, yeah? So anyone who has been remembered for such a long time always prioritized education and learning. Another important thing is that learning has a cumulative effect. So it always builds up on itself. And that's why if we are able to keep learning, we should create a particular advantage in comparison with the person who thinks that, okay, the education actually stopped in the university years and he or she should not continue actively pursuing more knowledge and actively trying to ask curious questions about business or about any kind of domain that he or she is willing to learn more. So that cumulative effect is the key component of the advantages of learning, let's say. The second principle is competitiveness. In today's world, being competitive is definitely crucial. It is deeply about ambition and being obsessive to create a difference. For example, think about Muhammad Ali's dedication to training, Madame Curie's relentless pursuit of scientific breakthroughs, or let's pick Malala and her fight for education. Yeah, it's all about, I believe, pushing our boundaries and striving for excellence. Well, willingness to compete is obviously a key component, but competition is not always with someone else. Actually, your greatest personal potential is triggered when you create a cycle of focusing on competing with yourself, with a version of yourself from yesterday. So it's much better to focus on yourself, especially your version of yesterday, and try to build on that, try to compete with that version. Yeah, it is much better and much more advantageous in comparison with competing with someone else. This is not productive. Well, imagine if you become 1% better each day, it takes 72 days to become twice as good as your current position in any given domain. In any compounding interest, 72 divided by the percentage gives you the time in which your current position is doubled. It can be your investment, it can be your skill, it can be your knowledge. Doesn't matter. 72 divided by the percentage gives you the time in which your current position is doubled. So approach your competition, especially with yourself, with a mindset of compounding interest. The third principle is innovation and technology. Just like countries that build new technologies thrive, individuals who stay ahead of the curve keep becoming more powerful. People who are able to use the latest technologies will always have an advantage, but those people who can invent, who can build and develop those latest technologies will always be wealthier and more powerful. Let's not forget that except AI, technology is not a thing that builds itself organically. It should be built through human capital, and that's why controlling technology is controlling power. The fourth principle is economic output. Dalio emphasizes production over consumption. It should be about developing our skills, contributing value, and creating something meaningful. Whether you are building a business, writing a book, or simply mastering a new skill, focus on creating value and contributing to the world. This is key. By mentioning economic output, we should highlight the creative force that we have. The idea of create more than you consume is a key component of generating excess value. If you consume more than you create, then you don't have any excess value to invest for the long run, whereas when you create more than you consume, the excess value can be invested for the long run. It can be your capital, your money for your investment, it can be knowledge, it can be a creative product. The output should be greater than the input in order to have growth. The fifth principle is share of world trade. On the personal scale, it is global influence and knowledge. In today's interconnected world, understanding different cultures and perspectives is definitely invaluable. There's a reason that we remember Marco Polo and his groundbreaking journeys. There's a reason that we still remember the importance of Silk Road fostering trade and a cultural exchange. So the importance of cultivating a global mindset, learning about different cultures and expanding our horizons will be definitely key components of building our personal share of world trade and our personal influence and knowledge in the global arena. Learning new languages is a fundamentally beautiful way to connect dots around the world and have a global mindset. And also, in addition to that, there are numerous advantages of having a bilingual brain, such as improved memory, sharper mental agility, and late cognitive decline. In addition to that, Learning each new language creates a new persona within us under the influence of different cultures. So that enables us to actually connect with different cultures and basically connect with different people from different cultures in a much easier way, and that obviously creates an advantage. Let's not forget that the future of business will be highly dependent on the quality of communication that we have around the world. So having that global mindset and ability to communicate in different languages will be highly crucial for our future success. The sixth principle is military strength. And on the personal level, it is physical strength and health. In international relations, the dynamics are ruled by the raw power. And just like a strong military is vital for a country, good health is essential for personal power. The obsession may and will create periods in which we don't care about our health. I personally believe that it is completely normal, and ironically, it is healthy. Because I think that the fact that you have that kind of an ambition or obsession to go through such periods can be seen as a healthy behavior in your journey. So we will keep having such periods in which there might be sleepless nights to work, running from meeting to meeting, sitting in front of a computer all day long, and they're all possible. The thing is, they are periods, like short sprints. I was playing football as a quarterback, and I remember that I read a book named The Impact Body Plan, which affected my diet and workout program. And I remember a single quote: "Life is not a marathon, but a series of sprints." Life is not a marathon, but a series of sprints. That's a good perspective. All those harsh periods should be balanced through an overall emphasis on protecting and improving health through nutrition, sleep, and exercise. Going through those harsh periods is completely healthy, it is completely normal, and they actually enable us to push ourselves further. The seventh principle is the financial center strength. And on the individual level, it is the habit of investing. Our financial center is our minds. Being poor is a mindset. Being broke is a financial status. So being broke can go away, but the mindset of being poor should always be understood, challenged, and learned from. Understanding the logic of poorness leads to understanding the spending habits of poor people. So people who do not buy financial assets to generate additional income for themselves or for the commodities that they want to buy actually ends up buying things that they cannot afford. Yeah, this is the mindset of a poor person. This is how a poor person thinks. The necessity to buy luxurious items to look like a rich person. This approach of looking like rich is a key determinant of having a poor mindset. The rich people, though, invest in knowledge and financial assets that will generate additional knowledge and income, and then use the additional income to invest more and diversify, leading them to afford the things that they possess. The habit of investing is also closely related to the spending habits of people. So the next time you want to buy something, please consider the reason for you to buy that particular product. Is it the emotions that it generates in you? Is it the flavor, for example, or is it the look? Do you really need it? Each transaction should be evaluated depending on the possibility of generating more income or supporting you to generate more income. Think about a commodity or think about a particular product. Let's say a nice suit for men or a nice dress for women. It can also be seen as a financial investment because it can generate more value for you in the long run. Imagine that you are having a business meeting with someone or like a group of people that you really value and that you want to have a business relationship with. Looking nice is always valuable. So a nice suit or nice dress for a woman can be seen as a good investment or a tool that will support you to generate more income in the long run. So each transaction should be evaluated from this perspective. Buying non-fictional books is definitely also a really good investment. Charlie Munger mentions, "In my whole life, I have known no wise people who didn't read all the time. None. Zero." So Please consider that books are extremely cheap commodities in relation to the value that they provide. The habit of investing and preparing the mind for building generational wealth and power is the component of financial center strength on the individual level. The last principle is reserve currency status, and on the individual level, it is operating environment. The currency a country uses reflects its economic standing. The currencies of global powers have always dominated the global markets. The Dutch Empire, for example, it dominated, and the guilder dominated. The British Empire became the empire on which the sun never sets, and the pound became global reserve currency. The United States became the leading power, and the dollar became the global reserve currency. Well, obviously, the next generations will see the status of China and the power of renminbi. The international arena with raw global dynamics, raw power, actually enables countries to operate in different territories, operate in different fields through their currencies. Just like that, actually, your operating environment also matters. If you think that your services or products are not valued, or if you think that your income is not the one that you desire, change your operating environment. Target different markets. It doesn't mean that you should change your location. It means that actually you should target different markets or change your product. You should develop different networks in different countries and continents to be able to develop a larger network in the long run, operating in different countries, having different business relationships, and create more possibilities, more opportunities for you in the long run. So the idea here that we should have is that your network is your net worth. Your network is your net worth right now. So this is key. If you're not satisfied, obviously change the rules and people will follow. If you are not satisfied, change the rules, people will follow. Develop your own network, create your own value, and have a global perspective encompassing people from different countries, different continents, different communities, different ethnicities. It doesn't matter. You are not limited to the country in which you are living. You are not limited to the language in which you are speaking. You should always develop your perspective. You should always develop your vision, and you are completely capable of doing those things. We use the main determinants of Ray Dalio to analyze the success, wealth, and power of countries, and we linked those components, we linked those determinants for tools that we can use for our personal success, for our personal wealth and personal power. Wealth and power are always connected. No one can deny that. The important thing is that there's no such a thing named as overnight success. Success actually, just like learning we mentioned, learning has a cumulative effect. Success also has a cumulative effect. Wealth also has a cumulative effect, and power also has a cumulative effect. So it actually builds on itself. Understanding that perspective is important to realize that there is no overnight success. The overnight success happens after working maybe a decade, after working 10 years, 15 years, after sweating so much, after trying to build something so much, so in such a passionate way. And obviously in that road, people can fail. Some ideas can fail. There might be some failures in team building. There might be some failures in marketing. There might be failures in sales, etc. But the important thing is that from each failure, we actually gain a lesson. If we understand that lesson, we can understand the idea that life is not a marathon. Life is a series of sprints. So each time we sprint, then we analyze, we sprint again. Each time we sprint, we look back, we analyze, and then we sprint again. Sprint, rest a little bit, sprint. It is not a marathon. It is a series of sprints that builds itself. We started with 8 principles for the countries and ended up with 8 principles for the individuals. I hope this has been somehow valuable for you, somehow helpful for you. And if you haven't done so, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really matters to me, and I would love to see you back on the channel. So until next time, see you.